it's been about 9 minutes since we were last on.
Yeah. So you're spoiling your audience now, Chris. Just
Constant live streams. Yeah, I guess it's better than the 8-hour ones I used to do. But folks, I'm here at the studio once again, where AfriForum's located at, and we had Ernst Roets on Roets just a short while ago. Now we have the conscious Caracal, Ernst van Sale. Ernst, how gaan het?
Yeah, baie goed, Chris, and it's very nice to see you here in person.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely different. You're taller.
I'm taller. I'm still devastating.
Your beard's longer.
My beard's longer in person, and I'm still devastatingly handsome. Anyway, but seriously. So we're just going to have a little lekker conversation and talk about whatever comes up. So it's been quite a whirlwind tour for me. It's been pretty exciting here. It's halfway over now. And, I keep seeing people. And after you've seen them, then you start to miss them. I've so many different people, viewers, people have really put time and effort in helping with this trip. People set up meet and greets. The trip to Uppington was amazing. I've met an incredible range of South Africans from all backgrounds and ethnicities, and I think that I don't think anyone's ever undertaken a journey like this in South Africa.
Yeah, Chris, I think what you're experiencing is something I've noticed as well from South Africans. That is the fact that, well, there's this very strong sense that the world doesn't care about what's going on in South Africa, and when they encounter someone from abroad that they could genuinely pick up, has taken the effort to get to know the very subtle nuances of their country, the history of our country, all the different facets, all the different communities, and with the knowledge and experience that you have, I think there's a deep appreciation coming to the fore, where I think that, and it's sad to say this, but the general experience that a lot of South Africans have is a very cold shoulder from the international community. And I have just a very basic idea of South Africa, like, oh, Boerewors, Springboks, the rainbow flag. And that's all they know. And I think...
Well, now they know load shedding.
They're going to know it. Some Californians are going to know it very soon. We'll see if they pull that trick of calling it load shedding, or if they're going to be a little bit more honest and call it rolling blackouts. We'll see. But I think that's what's going on, Chris. I think it's just an appreciation for that South Africans are hungry for, that someone from abroad taking the time to really get below the surface and see what's really going on, not just taking a very superficial approach to getting to know South Africa. And I know it's like your first time here, so you really have a very nice...
But it's been a while. It's been 4 years.
Yeah, a lot has happened in the last 4 years. I mean...
Not much of it good.
I mean, we'd be here all day if we had to recap what's happened since then. But yeah, I think the warmth that you're getting, the welcome that you're getting is definitely coming from a place of deep appreciation. Specifically, in my own personal experience, I can say I appreciate what you do. The fact whenever AfriForum is doing something in South Africa, whenever there's a big news breaking in South Africa, you're always one of the first people to cover it, and cover it in a very, very clear and objective way. And I think from my side and from the broader fan base that you have, there's a deep appreciation where that's coming
from. The point you're making, a lot of people have told me that throughout this. They said a couple things about the tour. Let me share that with you since we're just kind of chatting. I haven't really had this chance to sit down and talk to somebody like this at work or on Zoom because I've been busy with the trip. So this is a good opportunity. But a lot of people have said to me, because I've talked about hanging up my cleats and stopping the channel a couple of times because I didn't realize how much money I spent doing this. The other day I was with someone and we were talking about, I was with Big Daddy Liberty, and talking about the cost. He was talking about costing people's time to put the content out there. And we don't do it to become wealthy or famous. We're just trying to get the message out there and make people think critically. But I added up what I spent on the internet alone, and it would shock a lot of people just for internet, because I pay for the high speed stuff that's 1 gigabyte per second. But a lot of people said that they thank me, and I'm talking about in Uppington, in Amanzimtoti, in where else? In Bloemfontein, in Vanderbijlpark, all over the country. People thank me. Some people said, like last night in Vanderbijlpark, someone said to me, "Thank you, you got me through lockdown." I was like, whoa!
Just one person tells you that, that's already a big impact.
That just blows you away. But I mean, dozens of people have told me that's really cool. And the meet and greets have been incredible. People coming out. Most have been about, it's an opportunity for my viewers. I don't think they realize that. I want them to get to know each other as well, because it's a community. So a lot of times I'll introduce myself. They know who I am. We'll talk. I'll tell them about the trip, and then I'll get everybody to introduce themselves, and then get people chatting. But the one in Vanderbijlpark, they wanted to hear me talk, just like it was broadcast. So we talked about, people had a lot of questions. I think it was because there were a couple new people who never heard of me before, and they watched the live broadcast from Uppington we did with Vine and Toy. That show, we had people from all over South Africa. They drove to Uppington, from Mpumalanga, from Joburg, Pretoria, Bloemfontein, Cape Town. Over 220 people paid to come listen to me speak and buy it speak, and 13,000 tuned in the live stream. It was pretty incredible. So thanks to everybody out there. If you watch that, really do appreciate it. If you're a new viewer and you discovered me because of it, well done. Now tell your friends so they can watch it. Yeah, and the other thing too is that a lot of people have told me that their only source of news is me, and frankly, that's two things. That's a bit frightening.
Big responsibility.
That's the second thing. It's a big responsibility. But the bit frightening part is that, listen, I always tell people, you don't have to take my word for it. You check things out. And so if I'm your only source of news, I would encourage you to read something else or catch something else. Don't leave my channel, watch my content. But I'm just saying, you should expose yourself to lots of things. I like to think I'm objective, but I am opinionated. But you can be objective and be opinionated, because I tell you clearly what my opinion is, and I tell you whether it's fact-based or emotion-based. And if it's emotion-based, then it's useless. But if it's fact-based, then there's merit to it. But yeah, so it's been very satisfying, rewarding the tour thus far, and I can imagine it's only going to continue. Exciting.
Chris, we didn't before we started chatting, we didn't really decide on what we're going to talk about. But I think we've crystallized now on a point that's very critical, and that's the point of, well, first let me use my own channel as an example. I intro all my shows with greetings from the dark continent, because South Africa is still a dark continent information-wise. People,
well, it's not just that way with ESCOM; it's a dark continent, period.
but the thing is, ESCOM is not giving a new level to the new meaning to the term. But at the same time, I mean, people always joke about, well, back in the day when people talked about the dark continent, they thought they were monsters here, they were giants, and they were dinosaurs walking around. But you're joking with people because of their ignorance in the past, but then you look at the ignorance today abroad, and you could make the same observations about people, all these enlightened people today.
Very well educated. Harvard, Ivy League people that don't know squat.
That are believing the modern equivalent of those people in the past that believe South Africa is full of monsters and dinosaurs and whatever.
Well, they are. They work in the ANC.
Not all both of those. But yeah, Chris, and that's why I think that whole idea of Africa still being a very mysterious place for many people, a lot of disinformation out there on what's going on really here, and I think that's why people are coalescing around channels like yours, is that they want that little light, even if it's just a small flashlight in the dark. I mean, that's why I intro on my channel, I intro my shows with that intro, because that's what I'm trying to do. If your channel is a spotlight or a flashlight, mine's a little match. But I'm still trying to do my part to illuminate what's going on here. And light doesn't discriminate. It illuminates whatever is there.
Well, that's why, people can identify as whatever they want these days. So I identify as a lampshade because I shed light on the world.
Absolutely. Well, that's why it's so important. I think that's why people tune in and why people appreciate it, because they want people even if there's no help coming from abroad, even if there's no big savior coming from abroad, they at least want people out there to know what's going on, so that they know, well, at least our story is being told, or not just our story, the stories of South Africa, the millions and millions of stories that you have here.
Well, Ernst, I have to say this, two things. I want to compliment you on your channel second. Don't let me forget that. But first, this is Mecca. This is a lot more fun than doing Zoom, isn't it? We're sitting right here.
Well, nothing. I actually did a stream on my channel just this week about nothing beats in-personal conversation. And you're lying to yourself if you think that it's a substitute.
No, it's not. But we make the best of it. But I mean, this is so much better. I really, because I mean, I can see your full expressions, not just your face, but your shoulder, and I can read that also. It's not coming through with a data delay or something like that. So it's just nice. But back to your channel. So I've told you this on your program before, and when you've been on my program, in the earlier days when I would watch a little bit of YouTube content, and you were out there, it's interesting to me. Your work is always factually based. It's not emotional. I've never seen you rant like I do.
I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, thanks. I guess that's my stock and trade. But your channel is just always one that's pretty. I think it's fair to say it's objective. I mean, people say maybe some people might think you're biased or opinionated, but I disagree. I think it's objective, and I think it's informative, and your content has always been high quality. I have to be honest that when I started, I was a bit envious of your content because it's really well produced and well done. I was nowhere near that stage, with my video production, and I'd like to think I've improved. I hope I have, but anyways, envious of that. And when my old channel blew up, your channel, I blew right past your number of subscribers. You had just like that. I mean, I think I overtook you on Senecal because I got 2,500 one day in one live stream. That was the old days before shadow banning.
Right.
And now my goal has been to catch first Joe Emilio, and that was a long time ago. Then my goal is to catch Ernst, and I'll never catch Ronaldo, but it's not a competition. But I'm just saying I set goals to see because if I reach a certain audience, then I know that people are listening and maybe we're making a difference. In my Army career, 36 years, I always told people that I would stay as long as one of two things or both were true. I was enjoying myself or I felt I was making a difference. And I can honestly say that in the entire 36 years, I always felt that I was either enjoying myself, which was most of the time, not always, and most of the time I felt like I was making a difference. And if I wasn't happy, I was at least making a difference, so I stuck it out. And when you do things, I think that's the best you can hope for, So that's why I stuck with the Army. So this is interesting here, AfriForum headquarters. By the way, folks, if you ever look for the address, don't trust Google. I'm just telling you that.
I still don't know how Google messed that up.
Well, apparently there's another street with the same name that's 2 kilometers away, and it's not physically connected. And they couldn't connect. This street goes this way, and that street goes that way.
Yeah.
So if you want to rename the street, rename that Union Street.
We call this AfriForum Street.
Oh, there you go. There you go. AfriForum Boulevard.
Yeah, seen as the Solidariteit headquarters was just there.
Oh, they are. Okay, I didn't realize that. I was too busy trying to get here. So.
So they might as well call this the Solidariteit Movement Street, and it will be very factual.
Somehow, I don't think that's going to happen.
I think there's a little bit of a interesting poetic element to Union Street here as well.
Yeah, that's a fair point too. So, Ernst, you work campaigns here at AfriForum. What campaigns are you currently working on?
I'm currently actually the big campaign I'm doing this week is specifically. Well, it started last week, continuing this week. Is the Sunfield campaign. So this is a home in Mpumalanga that's being threatened by the Department of Social Development. They're threatening to move all the residents there out. It could potentially become another life is a many tragedy. That's what AfriForum's trying to avoid. So we got involved there. We wrote a lawyer's letter from namens in Afrikaans. I'm looking for the English word now. In their capacity, we wrote.
Oh, in their name.
Yeah, in their name.
Yeah.
We wrote a lawyer's letter to the department and said they need to firstly reconsider the threats of saying, well, these people are going to have to move. And secondly, that the support that they get from the department, they need to give them the financial support that they deserve, not just a very small fee, because they're very passionate and amazing people that work. I actually had the privilege of visiting the home last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's dozens of people that are living there, and the people that work there are very passionate about what they do, but they're being threatened by the department. And we're trying. AfriForum is trying to avoid that. Then we get another life disability because that's all the same characteristics.
I think what you're describing is what we call an amicus brief, friend of the court. You're intervening on behalf of a third party.
Yeah, we wrote a lawyer's letter with demands.
Amicus brief is what it sounds like. It's Latin, but that's what we use in the States. So I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on TV. Anyway, but seriously, so do we know why they're threatening them? Why they want to evict them? Is it they said? Are they illegally occupying or behind the rents, or they don't like their dress color?
So it comes down to put it very simply, the department gives financial support to these types of homes for the disabled. Okay. And for this home, they've been giving the same amount of subsidy for the past 14 years. So it's been
despite inflation.
Yeah, despite inflation.
So the money got 14 years ago is probably worth about 2/3 of what it is.
But here's the kicker: we've gotten information that other homes that do the same thing in the area have gotten even more and more than them. So we don't. I'm not going to speculate here now.
Sure.
But if this goes to court, the truth will come out. What's going on here? Why is this one home being discriminated against or being treated differently? But they just said, give us what we deserve for the work that we do that you're giving to other homes, while we, for the past 14 years, just getting the same subsidy. And then that's where this all started. The department said, no, we're not going to give you that increase, and these people are going to have to be moved away. other places too. But the sad thing
So
is,
they're threatening them so they'll shut up.
yeah, but the problem is many of these patients and people that live here don't have other family. They've been living there for 30 years, and all of the people that live there are disabled.
That's their entire life is there.
Yeah, so it's heavily traumatic for them. A lot of I was talking to Brenda, the manager there, so she said many of the patients there are crying on a daily basis because they think they're going to be put out
On the
there
street, yeah.
into the unknown. And the department is just giving them a cold shoulder and saying, well, that's the threat. And then they're also making false statements on television where the department, when the pressure, the heat started coming up, they said, no, we've scheduled a meeting, which they haven't done. But that's why we sent out another press statement today, putting everything out there saying this is not X, Y, and Z is not true. And we are now ready to take them to court if they don't urgently. Actually, we can start a meeting.
With things like this, you not to speculate, but you have to wonder whether it's malice or incompetence or a combination of the two. Based on what you've told me, it sounds like there may be some malice involved here, but we won't speculate on that. But I'm sure there's a degree of incompetence that comes with bureaucracy here. So
yeah, so that's the big campaign. But here at AfriForum, we don't do just one campaign a week. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm also working on a very big documentary for next year on federalism, the idea of federalism.
Sure. You're singing my song.
I'm working with AfriForum TV, the studio that we're sitting in here now. Already have started with many of the interviews, and then also another big campaign or a big thing that we're just working on continuously is, especially now in light of the judgment with the hate speech case of Julius Malema, is we're just making sure communities are safe and communities are able to protect themselves. We are we've had a very strong focus on that for years now, but we've even upped that in the past few weeks, and we're going to increase our focus on community safety networks, making sure all our neighborhood watches and farm patrols have the tools and the training they need to be as effective as possible.
That is very interesting, and thank you for sharing that. So let me just talk a couple things back to my tour real quick that just came to mind while we were talking about this. The first is that it's been fascinating from a standpoint that I've met Swana, I've met Zulu, I've met Coloreds, I've met Indians, I've met Afrikaners and English-speaking South Africans, and all have been interesting and fascinating, wonderful. And not just viewers of my show, but people I've interacted with in the street, because I tend to just say hi to people. Yeah. But it is interesting that happened. But you haven't asked me what's different this time about my last trip. Everyone always asks me.
Chris, what is different this time about your trip?
Well, let's see. The stories about South Africa's crumbling infrastructure are true. Absolutely true.
Not fake news.
No, it's not fake news. I'm here to tell you, having blown 2 rims and flattened 2 tires in Northwest, I can attest to the potholes.
Yeah, your tires were blown up by conspiracy theory, Chris.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was a conspiracy theory that you hit there.
It could be. But beyond that, the atrocious condition of even highways. And it's one reason I don't like to drive at night in Africa, and I generally don't drive at night in Africa. I've been forced to drive around town, and that usually isn't a problem in the past in South Africa. But with the roads and condition they're in, and this crappy little hire car that I have, the headlights only go to about that wall. So that's about 5 meters, 4 meters. And the high beams, you can't keep them on all the time because you're blind other people. I guess people just do it. Without the high beams, you can't see the potholes. I mean, so you got to go like 40 or 30 in some of these places where
if you're driving where other cars are, if you put your brights on, you're going to blind those people.
Exactly.
They're going to hit the potholes.
Exactly. So the advice is don't drive at night. But the infrastructure is truly collapsing. I've taken to what Durbanites are doing, and I've renamed Durban Dirtbin. It is an absolute disgrace, the condition of that city. I mean, whether it's the informal settlements that dot the hills around it. When you come down through Pinetown on the way down to the ocean, the entire ridgeline is full of informal settlements now. These shacks and such were never there in the past. Where did all these people come from? They were living somewhere. And some people said, oh, they're just illegal immigrants. They can't all be illegal immigrants. There's just far too many. Tens of thousands of these. It is an unbelievable eyesore. So that the other thing is with the rail system being destroyed, all this traffic on the roads. The last time I drove to Durban was probably 10 years ago, and it was a pleasant drive down. Some trucks on the road, normal business, but most of the freight went by rail and came up into Gauteng and then spread throughout South Africa in the northern part and the region. But now it's all on the road. So what happens? Higher carbon emissions, higher petrol and diesel prices, congestion, probably accidents and fatalities because of the way truck drivers drive and people not paying attention to them as well. And then the roads wear out prematurely. It's a total disaster. And Durban is a total disgrace. I mean, there's trash everywhere. I went to Ushaka, where I watched Trevor Dodgenay play, who was my friend who used to play for Johnny Clegg. And the signs for Ushaka are the same signs were there 10 years ago. They're all faded. It looks like something from the 1930s. Disney World wouldn't tolerate this stuff. I don't like Disney, but they got people sweeping up right behind you if you drop something. And they refurbish the signs and everything. No, Ushaka hasn't spent a penny in that place since I last saw it 10 years ago. And then the signs on the beach, the Golden Mile, all rusted, rust stains running down it. How can you run a country with such little self-respect, so little respect for your environment? Now, the other thing I've noticed is this. I thought for a long time that the ANC was really good at making money disappear. It just disappears. But I also discovered something else. And for the closet race hustler that likes to watch my videos, you can make a comment on this because you're going to infer incorrectly. The ANC is also good at making white people disappear. I've never seen so few white people in all the places that I visit in my life. Rustenburg used to be 40–50% of the clients were white. There were like 5 white people in Waterfalls Mall when I was there during the busy day. When I was at the beach in Durban, it used to be about half the people were white. I was the only white person I saw on the beach that day. I saw a few others, but walking around the beach, that was it. My point is that either a lot of people have emigrated, which I don't think is the case, or a lot of white South Africans just aren't going out either because they don't have the resources, their business is flat because of COVID or whatever. But a lot of white South Africans just aren't out and about like they used to be. And that's kind of sad. I don't know if that's an anecdotal thing I saw, but so now I can tell you the ANC makes money disappear, it makes white folks disappear.
Well, Chris,
you didn't laugh at that. I'm crushed.
Maybe it's
I'm gutted.
Chris, your trip so far, I've only heard the ears of the what's the circuit? My English is failing me now. The hippopotamus. Story. You've only given me the ears of the hippopotamus. The rest of the animals.
All the meat to gorge on, you haven't got to. No, there's
the surface when it comes to your story. But I'm looking forward to the video that you plan to make with everything you're gonna get it in there.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I was with the Sightlanders. I was with Caracal in Chatsworth, and we walked around there. What a depressing situation. It's really sad. It's been 28 years. The ANC can blame Jan van Riebeck all they want, but it doesn't excuse away what's happening in this country. I was today earlier at the Santa City Convention Center, and there's an on-the-record discussion. And a lot of big names are there. Andre de Ruyter is speaking this afternoon. He's already spoken. I missed that. I don't need to hear about SCOM. I know what's going on there. But also this morning, I think Wade and Natasha was supposed to be there. And then we had Chief Justice Raymond Zondo who spoke. He was the first speaker. And I'm listening to it. And he hits it all spot on right on the nail on the head, or on the nose, spot on the nose. But if you're paying attention to it, you know this already. You didn't need the Zondo Commission to tell you about this corruption. It's just got the legal details and the evidence, the actual evidence is in there. So you can use to prosecute something. But we knew these things. And then there was a panel discussion after that led by a News 24 reporter. And I think whatever the ID is that the inspector, whatever, the ones who are also investigating these crimes now. And she was there, advocate Jane Johnson or something. Anyway, they were talking to these folks, and they're all, except for one reporter in the end who was just very incisive and very spot on about what's going on. They're just running the moles on the hill, the Minister of Justice, or as I call him, the Minister of Injustice. They were all talking about, well, we got to do this. Like, the time is long past. This decay, this decline in South Africa should have been addressed 15 years ago when it started in all earnestness. I mean, honestly, South Africans like to say, if I'm honest, that's their phrase. But I'd always say, well, why wouldn't you be honest? What else would you be? But if I'm honest here, when Zuma came in, that's when the rot really started. Up until that time, there were challenges in South Africa, some of which from the apartheid era, others were being built into the system from the current government's ruling. But things were going somewhere, just not fast enough. But since then, it's just all gone downhill. Every time I come to South Africa, things are worse. And here's the thing, guys. I mentioned this to some folks last night. South Africans become inured to suffering. They become inured to violence. They become inured to these things because they see it every day. So 71 murders per day. That's shocking. In 2019, the United States had 14,000 plus murders. That's horrific. I mean, one murder, it's terrible. But 14,000, but we have 330 million people. In the same year, South Africa with 59 million people had 21,000 murders. That's 50% more murders than we had for 1/6 of our population. If you had 330 million people in this country, just multiply that, how shocking that would be. And a lot of people seem very complacent with it. It's honestly, from my perspective, Aaron, it's a bit disturbing. I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's I think a reality that any South African will be able to tell you about the fact that we become quite desensitized to the things that Westerners find shocking, and people from Europe and America. But at the same time, I think that circles back all the way to what we were talking about at the beginning of where you need people to tell these stories, you need people to document what's going on. You need people like you that put the stories out there, that put the information out there, that tell the world what's going on. You're not under the premise of, well, the entire world's going to come save us, but just under the mission of documenting. So nobody can say, well, nobody told, whenever in the future someone says, no, nobody told me.
We didn't see this coming.
Yeah, nobody saw this coming. Nobody told me. Like, no, a lot of people told you, just chose to ignore it.
You're willfully ignorant.
No.
Yeah, well, we could probably talk for hours, but is there anything you want to talk about? If you want to ask me before we wrap up?
I think the best way to I think end off the stream would definitely be the question when it comes to your trip so far. What are you still looking forward to the most?
Oh, well, it's not seeing Ronaldo close. No, just kidding. There goes Wednesdays with the Caracal canceled. Well, look, honestly, the World Cup is something really important, but I have concerns. The Eagles aren't in good form. It's a lot of new players. They're discovering themselves. And the Blitzbach just really let me down in Los Angeles. All they had to do was get 3 more points on the log, and that meant if they finished in the top 5, but they finished in the bottom 9 because they lost the Eagles, then they lost to New Zealand, and they went into the 9th place. And so Australia gets its first ever HSBC Sevens title, and for the season. And the Springboks, the Blitzboks, could have had it 3 years running. Neil Powell's team won the Commonwealth Games a few weeks back. They could have won this, and then they had a chance in Cape Town to win all 3 in Neil Powell's last season as head coach. And that would have been exciting. So I'm not sure what form they're going to be on because, I'm a Blitzbach fan, I'm an Eagle fan. But, it's sevens. It's fun. You have a good time. You just don't go to Lucas and you miss the game. You come back to games. It's over.
Yeah.
Sevens. It's over. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've never done the garden route.
So that's going to be an experience. Absolutely.
And I have a chauffeur, Rob Hutchison.
Wow, what a chauffeur.
Yeah, Rob will be my chauffeur. And
you should not be named on YouTube.
Oh, is that? I didn't know that. Okay. But yeah, so
YouTube's not a fan.
I didn't realize that, so we won't say that. It's Bob Dutchinson. Bob Dutchinson will be my chauffeur for the Eastern Cape. He's going to meet me at the airport in George, and then we're going to drive to Mossel Bay. We have a meet and greet there, and then it's the garden route the next day. And over to Port Elizabeth, where we'll have a meet and greet at Tapas. That's Ronaldo's restaurant, and we're going to live stream that one. And if Ronaldo's not there, that's great. I can keep everybody entertained.
But when you see Ronaldo in person, tell him that he needs to come visit in Pretoria.
Yeah, hasn't he been talking about coming here for years?
Yeah, he has.
And he's been here
he
less than I have.
He's never visited while I've lived here. So.
Oh, there you go. Well, we'll put him on the spotlight for that. But and then there's one other thing I should let folks know, the viewers, very quickly, is that in Cape Town on the 10th. So on the 10th, I have a meet and greet in the morning. It's a breakfast in Milnerton, and then I'm off back to the World Cup. But on the 10th, right now we're coordinating to have a meet and greet with content creators. So at the moment, it's going to be Ronaldo because he's coming to Cape Town, Jeremy Nell from German Warfare, and myself. And I don't think we've invited Joe Amelia yet, but we might invite Joe Amelia as well. So yeah. So the only meet and greet left for me to schedule that isn't done yet, folks, is the one in Parle on the 5th of September. Because tomorrow's meet and greet is in Pretoria East. It's at I can't remember the name place, but look in the groups or go on my channel, and there's a post on there that has the image of where it is, how you can RSVP. It's Rock at 88.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them though, so you gotta get the right one.
Just like Union Avenue.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to go the wrong Rock. That would be bad. And folks,
it's probably also 2 kilometers apart.
Well, no, I don't. I think they're probably further apart, 2 restaurants. But yeah, good point. But the thing is, Aaron's was sending me these pins. I'm like, it's telling me to go 6 kilometers this way, and to go 6 kilometers this way. And I don't know. Maybe there are gremlins in the system, but the Google has been actually pretty good. But Waze is a bit better. Maybe I should stick with Waze in future. So Anyway, Ernst, thank you so much for coming to the program
Yeah,
and
well,
let me use your studio. This is pretty awesome.
No, it's an honor to meet you in person. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Your fans are always amazing, and the only thing I regret is not being able to read the live chat. While
Yeah, because we're looking at the back
I
of.
wish I could project it here on a wall so you could.
That would be cool.
See it.
Maybe another time.
Chat, but Chris, it was excellent being on your show in person, and we'll definitely chat again very soon.
All right, bye, Duncan.
Yeah, bye, Duncan.